also own a company with my partners that produce trading algorithm tools called Material Indicators. So the nature of the podcast is that I get to meet all of these leaders in the space, which also then allows me to make connections for the projects that I'm involved with. So I'm able to connect projects together to partnership in business development methods to get them to partner together to boost them. So I love doing the podcast. I would just do the podcast if I had nothing else to do, but it also is part of help driving kind of how I make a living.
All right. So is it more like a business stuff or is it more like a hobby?
The podcast is, I would probably put it as more, oh boy, that's a tough one. It's probably about 50-50 because I really love doing it. I really love talking to these people. I have so much fun on these interviews. So I would say 50% hobby, 50% business.
Yeah, that's cool. So today we are going to get some thoughts into where crypto and DeFi are going and where they should be. So Brad, like you spent 27 years there. You have 27 years of experience. It's the same amount of years as I am of age. So you have worked during the dot-com years. It's not about being old. It's just me feeling myself very small in this world, so to say. You have some tech background behind that for sure. So could you enlighten us?
Sure. So when I was about 14 years old, which is a very long time ago, I had an uncle that was very early innovator and had a lot of patents in the computer industry that was just the personal computer industry that was just getting started. And he gave me my first computer. And from that point on, I was totally and completely addicted to software and technology and what was possible and breaking things and taking them apart and learning from them. And so I've always been, ever since that time, a complete junkie for tech and I'm always on the bleeding edge. I'm always trying out the dangerous things. And that's always helped me in my career, but also hurt me in my career because I've always been a little bit too far ahead of the curve. So for example, in 1997, a partner and I started working on what at the time was called an application service provider, which is now known as a SaaS. So like the Salesforces of the world, basically the way we all access software now, which is over the web. But we were one of the first ones to do it. But I was a bit ahead of the curve. And we went through the whole .com mess, et cetera, and learned a lot, made a little money. But at the end of the day, my experience with technologists and CEOs over all these years and building companies has really helped me for kind of what's going on in DeFi. So, everything from working in the travel industry on tech to working in general tech area, from building software and hardware. It's just my passion. It's what I love doing. I'm happiest when I am delving into what's possible in technology.
Well, that's pretty logical for me that you ended up with all this technical stuff and background and you just continued your path of development in crypto because crypto, like, I don't know, bends boundaries, right? You can do even more. And now you learned that and now, I want to crypto. So
exactly.
When and how did you decide to dive into crypto?
So since about 2013, I had a lot of different friends telling me, dude, you've got to be in Bitcoin. Why aren't you in Bitcoin? You're such a tech. You're such a geek guy. You should be in Bitcoin. You should be doing crypto. And a little bit here and there. I didn't buy my first Bitcoin until 2015. And then I forgot about it. And
what was the price?
Oh, I have no idea. Well, I know I bought $50 worth. And then when I went to look back at it again in 2017, when somebody really got me engaged in crypto, it was worth $800. So I don't know what the exact price was when I bought it, but that really piqued my interest in getting involved in crypto. I can tell you that. So I still was doing what I was normally doing, which was, product management, business development, guiding, mentoring CEOs, that kind of thing. And then a guy reached out to me on Twitter and said, "Hey, I'm launching a startup and I'm doing an ICO, but I really need help and guidance on strategy and product. Can you help me?" And I said, "Sounds interesting, but first you're going to have to tell me what an ICO was." And so I then kind of climbed further into blockchain because he was actually building a blockchain, and learned a lot more about it. And that really, piqued my interest. And from that perspective, once I kind of saw what was possible, I dove headfirst in. My business partners and I at the time, I basically said, "Look, guys, I'm all in on this. You can either come along or you can continue doing what we're doing." And they thankfully followed along, and we dove in head first. So since 2017, crypto has been 100% of my time, really, besides my family and normal life. And I'm excited to be a part of it because, like you were talking about, one of the things that most excites me about it is the concept of financial freedom and the concept of permissionlessness. This idea that nobody has to ask permission to build something, and nobody has to ask permission to use something, and nobody has to ask permission to control their money. I also love the transparency of it. I love that it's a self-healing world, and I love that people work in this industry based on a meritocracy instead of certifications or past work experience, right? And I even love the fact that we have a ton of people that are anonymous in this space. I think that's actually a plus. I think it allows for people to create and build and feel safe. And I think it's going to break down a lot of walls. The other thing I'm really excited about is the culture of crypto that has brought us to creating DAOs. I'm a big believer that DAOs are going to have a dramatic impact on the entire world, and on organizations and governments and businesses at a massive scale eventually. So I think this experiment that we're doing, all of this kind of rough, difficult things that all of us, everybody on this call that's early into crypto and into DeFi, all of this experimentation we're doing is going to bear fruit one day, because we're going to have a pretty dramatic impact on the whole world. So,
well, I can agree with the Endas. Like, I personally agree, but we also have some thoughts in the community that the fact that it's decentralized and anonymous helps the others to get funds, like not in the correct way, like because you cannot track it, right? Like, for example, we had the major leak from I can't remember from where, but about 600 million, were leaked.
Yeah.
So only because of anonymosity and decentralized stuff. So the guys were able to transfer it by a few exchanges and to have money in their pockets. This is like one of the drawbacks. What can you say to this?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's part of the growing pain of building a new industry in financial markets. Greed and criminality has been a part of money since the beginning of money, and it's always going to follow it. And certainly, the fact that there is anonymous capabilities and that there are and that it's code, right, leaves it vulnerable in some ways. But here are the things that I love about it. First, I love the transparency, right? So every Ethereum that the person stole or a few days ago on the Ronin blockchain, which is Axie Infinity's blockchain, every one of those is traceable, right? To the point that
they already tracked it.
Yeah, law enforcement and the centralized exchanges are already blocking and stopping that, right? It's going to become more and more difficult for hackers and exploiters to be able to get their money out and do something with it, right? And we've even discovered that some of the anonymizing tools like Tornado Cash are actually those have already been broken, and researchers have been able to track those as well. So while that's a good thing, it's also an impact on privacy, and that's a whole other topic. But so for me, yes, it sucks that these things happen, but here's what does happen after that. And this would never happen in the real world. If a hack like this happened in the financial system, which has happened, we would be, in the United States here, we would be like, it would take like 3 years of congressional hearings and, whatever else to try to figure out what went wrong. Whereas 24 hours after a hack occurs or an exploit occurs or a bug is found, there are literally hundreds of people around the world that are incredibly smart, much smarter than me, who are figuring out what caused it, what the problem was. Are there other places that are vulnerable to it? And to me, that's the beauty of what this community does, is that everyone dives in to help, even competitors, right? Like Sushi had a bug that came up for their fundraising platform, and Miso, and a competitor saw that Sushi still had that bug, alerted them to it, and helped them resolve the issue and keep $300 million from being taken. And I think that's really the thing that strikes me when I see these exploits and hacks happen. Yeah, it sucks, but in most cases, people get compensated again, and then people are working to heal the system, evolve the system, and make it stronger and safer and more secure. To me, that is our superpower, right? Our ability to make it better and better and better every single day and improve upon it and make it more secure. That to me is one of the things that makes it better than anything else that anybody is doing.
Yeah, what I also usually reply, like, the bank robbings were the same, not exactly the same, but the same like for 50 years or 100 years ago. Like, you have a gun, you go to the bank. Yes, they developed a bit, but it's still there. And yeah, to fix such kind of robbings and stuff, they need a lot of days. And in crypto community, it just goes faster and faster with every day. Like, as you said, competitors just advise to their competitors what are the possible wormholes and stuff. And yeah, you can't imagine like one bank talking to the other bank and telling like, hey, listen, I think this vault is vulnerable and somebody is going to steal something. No, they will just pour it.
Yep, absolutely. No, and it's, look, we're moving at a speed that's dramatic. When you step back and look back 2.5 years ago, if you looked at the number of dApps and the amount of financial transactions happening in the entire DeFi world, or the dApps that were available to be used, it was a ghost town. I mean, if you consider the billions and billions of dollars that have transacted through crypto in the last 2 years, year and a half, it's astounding. And the amount of applications that have built and the improvements and the security and everything else, it's incredible. It's a pace like nothing else in the history of tech. And there have been some major advances in tech, but we're just going at the speed of sound.
Yeah, I usually also don't like checking these numbers because they are just way too big, at least for me. So now some general question, like some general stuff which is hard to answer, but what trends are coming in for the crypto market, and what is going on now with the crypto market?
Yeah, so I think what's happening is we are maturing in a couple of areas. So the whole idea of DAOs, we talked about that earlier. I think it'll have an impact, and we're getting more formalized structures for those. We're finding out what works and doesn't work, and I think that's going to accelerate.
Brad, could you wait a bit? Like, you disappeared.
Sure. Oh, I did? Can you hear me now? Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know if it was my internet or yours.
Yeah, okay. You can hear me okay now.
Forward, because I think it was yours internet.
I was just saying that DAOs are...
all good now. Yeah.
Cool. I was just saying that I think DAOs are maturing. I think that we're getting more formalized structures. We have enough data now to know what works. I think we have a problem with community participation in those, and so that's going to be improved, and communications are going to be improved. I think that one of the trends that I see happening is, or that I see will happen more and more in the next year, is us moving into the real world. And I don't think that's going to happen the way most people think it'll happen, right? I think most people think, oh, more people will come into what we, kind of the trailblazers of DeFi, what we are experiencing now. And I think it's going to be different than that. I actually think that composability of DeFi protocols, meaning applications able to use the functionality of other applications in DeFi, are going to be the way that it gets exposed to the real world and to real people. So, for example, there are a couple of apps that have come out recently that will allow people to transfer, say, $1,000 from their bank account into what looks like a standard consumer banking fintech app, right? But what's happening on the back end is the interface is extracted away, and on the back end, the developers have created an integration with existing stablecoin yield systems to provide these people much more interest on their money than they can get from their bank, 0.04% versus, say, 7 or 10 or 12%, and guaranteeing that. And on the back end, all the DeFi magic is happening, right? But that is shielded away. The interface is extracted away from the complexity that we all deal with in crypto every day now. And I think that's going to happen more and more. I'm actually a partner in a project that's building a drag and drop interface builder for DeFi protocols. And the idea behind it is there's two components to it. The first is that people can automate strategies. So they can do swaps on one project. They can move their coins into a liquidity pool, and then they can move their coins into auto farming, but do all of that in an automated way based on triggers in the outside world. The second thing is that people will actually be able to extract functionality like lending and yield farming and swapping and create their own dApps that they can let other people use. And one of our big pushes with this project is to allow people in the real world to access the functionality of these protocols without having to understand the complexity of them. And I think that's what's going to happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I interrupt you? So it's like a WordPress or Elementor, but for blockchain, for DeFi. Am I correct?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. So the idea is people can drag and drop functionality from existing protocols and have a simple, clean interface to it. And the other big part of this is we want applications in the real world to come out. So I don't know if you're familiar with, you've ever heard of a project called Alchemix?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So for everybody that's listening, Alchemix is a lending platform, but the idea behind it is there's no liquidation on this lending platform, and you don't ever pay back the loan. So let's say you wanted to buy a Tesla. Let's say you've done great in DeFi, and you have $170,000, and you want to buy $85,000 Tesla, right? So you can go to Alchemix, you can deposit your $175,000, and you immediately are given half of that money back. So you get $85,000 back, and then you can go buy your Tesla. Well, what happens is, in the meantime, your $170,000 is put into blue chip yield farms like Yearn and others, and it's earning interest and paying back the $85,000 you borrowed. So over a 3 or 5 or 7 year period, you're getting all of the original $170,000 you put in back, and at the same time, you already have your Tesla paid for. To me, that's a very powerful model that could do very well in the real world, right? But it's a complex DeFi application. It requires you understanding tokens and blah, 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 blah. So what we want to do is create an interface to that out to the real world that allows mortgage providers or condo sellers or automobile dealers or whatever else to be able to offer that as a simple web interface, one click, deposit your money from your bank, and boom, you get your money back and your loan is getting paid off. So I think there's a ton of opportunities for us to use the composability of DeFi to create applications in the real world. And I think from a trend perspective, that's where things are going. In other words, just extracting the interface out of what we're used to in DeFi. And then I think what happens is all of us who love playing with this stuff and getting dirty and risking our money, all of us will then be still playing, we'll be the sandbox, we'll be the test cases, right? People will create new algorithms, new innovations, new applications. We will play with them, we'll test them, and then the composability of those applications will go out to the consumers in the real world who would never do the dangerous stuff that we do. So I think that's what's going to happen in the next few years. We'll see a real extraction of interface out of DeFi and the functionality. The other cool thing that does is, for the most part, developers in the Solidity and smart contract world are really bad at user interfaces. I mean, they're just horrible. And so that allows these really big brain, innovative financial application people to focus on just building engines, right? And then it allows everything else with the interfaces extracted away to be able to be built for the real world without these developers having to focus on interface and the bugs and the issues that come along with that. They can just focus on building these financial engines that we can use out in the real world.
Well, this talk about builder that for DeFi was something, I'd not say unreal, like maybe I thought it's possible to do sometime, but it's just mind-blowing. From what I also know, like the problem with the builders, with the simple builders for the websites, I understand that the code is totally different, but the problem with them is that they have the set of functionality, and if I want to customize it, I can't do it, or I need to be a developer.
Right. So for the platform that we have, this platform's been in use for a few years for at an enterprise level for multi-$100 million projects. But this platform actually allows us to extract out minute level functionality or major level functionality, but it also provides a JavaScript interface for people that want to do customized development. So yes, it would be similar to what you're talking about in that people will have to write code to do, customizations that we haven't thought of. But the beauty of the composability of these protocols is that most of the functions are in separate smart contracts. So we can provide to the end user that isn't a developer, we can provide to the end user a lot of granular functionality that they can bolt together. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of complexity behind this. And I didn't come on today to pitch this project, but we believe that, once we're in tests right now with a couple of protocols.
I totally understand what do you mean. Like, yeah. I can't even comprehend my own complexities in terms of tech. I just can't comprehend. It's, yeah. But nice to let us know about this. It's something that we might use in a few years.
Yeah,
just
so
us
I mean,
or our users or someone from our community, it's very cool.
But I guess the real point is when you ask me about trends, I think that's the trend. I think that's one of the biggest trends is how we get to how we and DeFi get to the real world. And the big trend will be that the user interfaces are going to get better and that they're going to be separated away. And that the people, the builders on the back end can focus on functionality, and more people will be coding apps on top of that functionality instead of every app having to have its own interface and its own functionality.
Oof, that's still too tough for me. Let's go to the next question. Yeah, this is really tough. I'm just trying to understand everything, and I'm already thinking, what about if I want to create something like that, and it goes further and further? It's just like this one question or this one point can be discussed for the whole AMA.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. So let's go further. So what do you think on the community as in crypto and DeFi as well? Like, what role does the community play for small project and let's say for the big one? What are the differences?
Yeah, so first of all, community is absolutely critical right now. I mean, it is absolutely critical because it is what sustains projects. It's what makes them have economic and financial value. And it's the feedback mechanism, right, that makes things happen. And the projects that I'm most excited about are the ones that have the most dynamic, active, engaged, involved communities that are building all kinds of things around the protocol that they're a member of a community for. So for me, from my perspective, it's absolutely critical. The stronger the community, the more chance for success. I tell the story. And I'm sorry to bring up a chain competitor here, but it's just a story that I think resonates this pretty strongly. Is as I mentioned earlier, I have a company that does automated trading algorithms, and I noticed one day last year that I was in a trade on a token called FTM that I had never heard of, and I didn't, and it was down and it was bleeding out, and I was losing money, and I have this kind of process I go through when I'm in a trade like that I'll go and look at the website for the project, and I'll go and look at the community for the project, and I'll look at whatever other information I can find about a project and decide whether I want to stay in, whether I think it has legs. But the most important factor for me is if I go into the community and the community is all about shilling and where's the price and why isn't the price going up and down, I'm less inclined to stay in that trade. But when I look at a community and I find that they're helping each other and people are providing support and people are building each other up and people are working on projects and helping market a project, then I'm more likely to stay in it. And that was the case of FTM and Phantom. When I went and looked at their community, I was amazed at how strong it was and how much they were helping each other. And so I think community is absolutely critical to the success of every project. And the ones that die off are shallow, are either too small and the team hasn't learned how to engage the community, or the community, just the initial people they attracted just weren't the right kind of investors, people that could get excited about the concept. I personally prefer to invest in things that I believe have strong fundamentals and have a future, and may mean that my money's in there for the longer term. Don't get me wrong, I still do short-term stuff occasionally when I think I can make a buck. But for the most part, where I put the most of my money is on things where I see innovation, where I see community growth, and where I see people becoming engaged and involved because they're excited about the possibilities of a product. So yes, I think community is critical. For small projects, for new projects, it's one of the hardest things at first is to grow that community. And what I find is that the people who are best at growing and leading the community are people who were early members of the community. And I see this over and over again. Some examples: a Spirit Swap, a rather large project. Their head of community and their COO now was a community member in the early days. The chief marketing officer at Phantom was just a regular old community member like any of us that join a community in a project. And now he's the chief marketing officer for Phantom. Those people who have an investment in a project, people who are engaged and understand it and believe in what's being created, those are the people that are best to lead the community. So I always encourage the projects that I'm advising to start finding the people that are excited and that are willing to work hard more than trying to find people with a good resume. Because the people that are engaged and believe in something are going to be far more valuable to you than people that just have a pedigreed resume. So from a small project's perspective, that's what I would look for. I would look for and engage with the most active people. And then I would make sure everyone in the community knows what jobs need to be done, right? That's the other thing is when you're leading a project, it's hard to like hand things off because you want to make sure everything goes great. But at the end of the day, you've got to delegate. And the people that you can delegate to are the people in your community. You can find out what strengths they have, what skills they have, what things they're interested in. And you can also encourage them to come up with ideas and ways to grow a project. On the large side, it gets very unwieldy to manage a project. And only a few projects have done really well with really giant communities in kind of channeling energy into different things. For example, Olympus DAO, which has a massive community and also went through a horrible cascading liquidation issue in January and February, still has one of the strongest communities I've ever seen in DeFi, and it's massive. But that community has been channeled to do all kinds of different projects. There are separate venture capital firms, separate apps being developed, separate groups leading hackathons, groups that are integrating with and working with institutional investors. Those are the key things that you make sure your community is engaged with, because the more invested they are mentally and with their time, they're more likely they are to stay dedicated and loyal to the project, as opposed to just putting their money into a project. So that's what I encourage the projects I'm talking to do, is to really engage community, get them active and involved and actually working. Sometimes we're afraid to ask communities to do work because we know they're already there kind of, rah-rahing along and talking and chatting. But we should not be afraid to ask our community members to help out. And community members should not be afraid to ask to help and to just start working on things that can help the community.
What you have just presented to me as the 100% thing that I see now while working as a community manager. Just so everyone else know, I was appointed maybe a few months ago, and I didn't think community as such a big thing of crypto. Maybe not only for crypto, but for the project in general. But like, they are showing us our drawbacks without criticizing us harshly. Like, this and this is slow. This UI UX, for example, is not good. And yeah, so they just help us to, I don't know, they make my work easier, so to say, right? I don't have to go and search for this. They just make it easier. And if you have, like, so to say, the healthy community, not toxic, and yeah, speaking only about the price. Like, speaking about the price is still fine, because I do understand that people might have like big investments, not big. Yep. It doesn't matter. It is your money. Yeah, and you have a right to talk about that. But it's important to maintain a healthy balance. Well, and yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to.
It's a hard job you have.
Well, I still don't consider it the hardest job in the world, right? Yeah, I think it's hard. It's new for me. That's why it's hard as well. But yeah, I just like it.
Yeah. Well, and I encourage projects to, first of all, maybe separate out the price chat if people get really shilly and crazy or whatever. But I definitely agree that price is part of it. We all are investing in these projects because we want to make money. We also think potentially they could help change the world, but we're engaged with the project because we think the team is strong, and because we think the technology is strong, and because we want to be a part of something cool, right? And at the end of the day, yeah, we want to make money on our money, but if we're making money and we're having a good time and we feel like we're contributing, that's to me is the nirvana of community engagement, right? It's tough. It's a hard balance to strike, and running community and running these projects is incredibly time consuming and stressful. So I also know how difficult it can be.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, let's one. So in your previous point, like in the previous question, you told that we will be shortening the gap, which is right now between the normies, between ones who just have entered crypto and have low understanding of what is going on, and people who are there for a long time. Well, you basically told we are going to have a simpler interface, so that the people who are not technically skilled and stuff can still dive into this. So what particular steps can be done to achieve that?
Yeah, look, I think I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you were broken up there, like Alexander. You. Yeah, I think I got most of that. You were just breaking up a little bit.
Well.
Okay. So I think the steps we take are, just because I think we need to extract away the interface, I would still encourage everyone on this call and everyone involved in DeFi to still drag their family and friends into DeFi. right? I think the people who are going to be strongest at growing their wealth and making more money in life and having true financial freedom are going to be the ones who do the hard work, right? All of us, even if you're just been in crypto for the last month, all of us in this call, all of us that are participating in crypto, people that are participating in growing Velas, all of us are early adopters, and we are willing to do the hard work, right? We're willing to understand the concepts. We're willing to take the risks. And we need to be the leaders that bring in the next wave of people. And we're not at the point yet where mass consumer adoption is going to come. We are still at that point where the hockey stick is not even close to getting to the peak. And so what we have to do is still continue to bring people in. And so from my perspective, I mean, you know, we were going to talk about this later, but one of the things I love about Velas is not only the performance of it, but the focus on easy to use, right? The focus on making it a more seamless experience for users. Those are the kinds of things we need to do in the short term to get people engaged with projects. But at the same time, we are still going to have to bring people in. So I would encourage everyone to go out and tell their friends and family about it, walk them through how to do simple, easy blue chip investments, things that are fairly safe, things that have been tested, things that have been through hacks that have you know, structured and strengthened themselves, and get them engaged and involved and getting a feel for it. Because what happens is, what we've all experienced is, we come in and we try one thing because a friend told us about it, or we saw something about a DeFi application, and we try one thing, and then we try another thing, and then we try another thing, and a friend tells us about another thing, and we follow somebody on Twitter that tells us about a really cool thing. So, and we lose money and we win money, and we learn our lessons. And I don't think anybody coming into DeFi at this stage is not going to have to learn lessons. And so I would encourage people to create videos for their friends and family and post them on YouTube, people to walk people through using tools, do a local meetup in your community center where you show people how to make 10% interest on stable coins, and you get people together, and you let them see what it's like. Those are all things we're going to have to do because we still have a big base to build.
Yeah, that's for sure is true. Like, we are still all early adopters. We are still like on the early phase of it. Maybe let's shift a bit to Velas. Have you already studied Velas, and what are your thoughts on it? Or you didn't have a look?
Yeah, no, I have looked at it and I have played with it, and I love the functionality of it. I love the ease of use. I love the performance of it. And I think all of the philosophies around it and the approaches to it are almost a bridge between the more complex stuff that's happening and what we were just talking about, the people in real life, right? I think that Velas is kind of a balance between that, of trying to make this easier, making it simpler, shielding the users from complexity of crypto. So from my perspective, I think Velas is very well positioned. I certainly think there's a lot of work to be done, and getting adoption on a chain these days takes a ton of work. The good news for Velas is that there is already a good base of users who are excited about it in this community, and there is the possibility for other applications to be duplicated or brought on board to Velas, so that people that are using other chains and other applications can come over and take a look. Because at the end of the day, there are two ways for Velas to grow, which is people that are members of this community and marketing going out to reach other people and get them directly onto Velas, and then also recruiting users from other protocols and other blockchains. And so I think that's a big job. I really do. But I also think that the team that you guys have assembled is quite capable of delivering on it. I've been thoroughly impressed with everybody from tech to marketing to, you, Alexander, on the community side. I think you guys are well positioned for fast growth.
Hey, that's nice to hear. I'm glad I'm doing my job fine. I think, can we get like Yeah, can we get like 5 questions from the community if someone dares to? And yeah, we will just like end up our AMA session. So I would like to ask someone from the community who has the questions to Brad, maybe
Looks
to
like
me, but like you can just write me private with the questions about Velas. Yeah,
looks
the
like
quality
Angel has
or
his Terrazona has their hand up.
Arizona. Like I have seen his or her hand from the beginning, but let's allow to speak. Hello, Angel. You can unmute and speak. Maybe just I think the user misclicked, you know, because
Okay.
he or she again he was active from the beginning. Like the hand was
I
raised
gotcha. I
like the
gotcha.
from the first second.
Yeah.
So anyone else? Everyone is shy today. Because I already done with the questions, guys. I already asked everything. If anyone else is not going to speak, I'm just okay.
Snodes
Snodes,
would like to speak.
yes, Snodes is allowed to speak. Unmute, please.
Hey guys, actually, I was just listening in. I think I came in at about 20 minutes ago. It was an interesting conversation, and I like what D05 was saying, but I couldn't gauge what was the point of this AMA. Can you guys just clarify? Maybe I missed the beginning or something. Is there something that's been developed or what's going on?
No, we discussed just the basic stuff, the basic dimensions of DeFi.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Yes,
that's
Okay, yeah.
basically it. There is
Snodes, it came about because some of the guys on the team are going to come on. I have a show called Mission DeFi where I interview innovators in the space. And I have a connection to one of the folks on the team. And I thought it'd be a great idea to have some people from the project be on my show and interviewed. And then it kind of just evolved out of that. And I think Alexander thought that us having a discussion with everybody being able to chime in would be cool.
yeah,
All right, that makes
it's
sense.
just interesting.
Because what you were saying was actually very interesting about the DeFi space and your vision moving forward. I think it makes sense as well. And also, yeah, it's such a tight. It's quite a tight. Even though we're disbanded all over the world, right? People that's in DeFi and people that's involved are really quite a tight community.
Yeah, totally agree with you, man. And it's the thing that every day I'm so excited about. Like the interactions I have with people are just amazing. I was interviewed by a New York Times reporter a few weeks ago, and he was talking. There's this guy on Twitter named Zach XPT BT, and Zach exposes fraudsters in the space. Right, his Twitter account's awesome. Like he exposes all these people that are corrupt and stealing from other people in DeFi. And he said to me, he said, well, doesn't that hurt you guys? Doesn't it hurt DeFi to have all this exposed and out there? And I said, no, that's the core of what we're doing here. We're all looking out for each other. So I want 100 Zachs exposing everything, and I want to help them. And we all are helping each other. And that, to me, kind of in the history of money and the history of kind of culture and human interaction and this kind of worldwide, the internet connecting us all, this to me crystallizes it better than anything else, Snode. So I totally agree with you, man. I think it's an amazing thing that how close knit we all are at this point.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's like that guy CoffeeZilla as well, right? I think I've heard of Zach. I think I've seen his Twitter post. I mean, it's good that these guys are in this space and looking through rug pulls or frauds and stuff like that. But sometimes you just got to be careful not to because I mean, if you read that article on Andre Cronje, right? It's sometimes better to be anonymous because you don't get people hitting up your LinkedIn and all of this stuff, blaming you for the price going down, blaming you for your stuff not being happened or something's been delayed. It's such a and obviously this was part of the reason why he left the space, right? I'm pretty sure he's gonna come back at some point. maybe come back anonymously. But
Right.
but you know, it's a fine line. It's good to have these people, but then what you do as well, you drive a sort of culture where people are looking for these kind of things where they don't exist, right?
Yep.
Like you might have a legitimate project, but then people are just going to poke holes in it on anything there is, right? Even though the guy or the team are really trying to do their best, but people are still poking holes in and calling it a rug or whatever, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We can't have people making accusations without the proof. That's why I'm a big fan of Zach's that I was mentioning, because his is always proof backed, right? He has documentation, data, evidence, and he doesn't make those accusations. The interesting thing was when you brought up Andre is that week before last there was an accusation made about the Phantom blockchain misallocating money, which absolutely wasn't true. And it's for these guys at this site Rect published this thing and further tanked the price of the token, and then had to delete it and apologize, within an hour after publishing it because they hadn't done their research properly. So I totally agree with you. We have to be careful about it. It can't be about complaining and FUD. It has to be evidence based. And one of the things I said is it's got to be something that's treated like the ethics that journalism is supposed to have, which is you get multiple sources, you get the facts and evidence, and then you present it to the community for the community to decide. And that's what I mean when I say I like these kinds of guys, because I feel like there are people doing it responsibly, and then there are people that have another motivation for it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. What's this guy's Twitter called again? Zach?
Zach XBT. Hold on, let me see. I'm actually trying to get him on my show right now. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right.
I could just Zach XBT. So
Yeah,
I think it was
at ZACHXBT.
All right, got it. XBT. All right, cheers, man. Well, yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Matt. I guess we had someone else to ask. No, I saw some hands. Okay, Eric wants to speak, if you don't mind. So
Sure.
Eric is about to speak. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, and ask the question.
Wow.
Mr. Mrs. Yeah, hi.
I have a question. I saw today, well, I'm new to Velas, but I saw today there is a 71% of Velas attributed to one address. Can you comment on that? This is like part of the foundation or something like this?
Once again, I didn't hear the question.
Okay. Wow. Let me check. So 71% of Velas is attributed to one address. Can you comment on that?
Right. Well, I don't have any comments on this. As far as I know, it does not belong to the team, right? We do not have any public information on the tokens being shared to the community. I mean, to the Velas developers as well. So I don't have to say much information on this. But from what I know, it does not belong to any of us or any from the team. So it must be some big whale just drawing everywhere.
Thanks.
Does this answer the question? Or
Yes. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, sure, no problem. Anyone else, guys? And yeah, once again, if that's the question which is related to Wallace, it is better to ask in private, but it's still fine to ask here. If it's, oh, Jesus. Brad was muted? Yeah, allowed to speak. Lol. Brad, you can unmute yourself. Brad? You're unmuted? Now you can speak. What's going on? Internet? Seems like yes. All right, we can wait for the Brian
Alexander, sorry
to come
about
back.
that. I had an internet connection drop.
Yeah, that's something that happens every day, at least with me. Yeah. So the question from RX was like, why 70% of the tokens belong to one address? And the answer was pretty honest. I don't know, but from what I was told, it does not belong to any member of the team. So in case you think Velas is a scam and is a rug pull, please don't.
Yeah, my experience with this team is that that's the farthest thing from the truth. Yeah, this is a solid team.
Thanks for support. All right. Anyone else? Last question, I think. If not, yeah, we're just wrapping things up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And nothing is coming. Thank you guys for all the questions, though. It was nice to hearing from you. Also, thank you, Brad, for your answers. Now, just to finish up, I offer you to have a quick question-answer format. I stole it from one blogger. Just let you know it's not my original idea. So, Brad, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go. Crypto or fiat money? Real money.
Yes, crypto is real money. Is that what it meant?
No. Crypto or real money?
Oh, crypto.
What would you choose?
Absolutely.
That's
definitely.
an easy one. Yeah, that's an easy one. Hodling or trading? Like next question: hodling or trading? Leverages and stuff.
Hodling 40%, trading 60%.
Oh, so you're a risky one.
Yeah.
All right. What would you choose? New interesting startup with reasonable promises, not like we are going to go 1 million time X, and real use cases, or an old and reputable yearly growing project in blockchain industry. So, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would go with the startup, but there are a few of the old tried and true that I like, but I definitely love the excitement of the new.
So again, risky one. All right, what do you prefer, NFTs or real life art?
That's tough. You know what? I would probably.
Let's discuss it in terms of enjoyment, maybe, because you cannot discuss real life art in terms of NFT from the blockchain, from the crypto perspective. But yeah, what would you choose? If you buy an NFT to yourself, or just a real life art like a Mona Lisa, or whatever?
Yeah, I would probably today buy the real life thing, but that's not because I don't love what NFTs are. I'm excited about it, but I've only seen a few pieces of NFT art that I had to have. And that's just probably a taste thing more than anything.
Do you own any popular NFTs?
Yeah, I do. I own several NFTs, but there were there were ones. They were no. I'm not. I don't play that hard in NFTs. I don't think I'm good enough at judging art. You know what I mean? I'd rather judge financial applications and tech.
All right. What would you choose? Decentralized exchange or centralized exchange? Let's say right now.
Decentralized. Every day.
All right. Proof of work or proof of stake?
Oh, proof of stake, but there's a lot.
Because?
Well, only because I think proof of stake right now has a performance edge and a brand edge in the general population. But I actually am a big believer that mining in Bitcoin has led Sorry, I had a call come in. Has led that Bitcoin mining has actually led to a number of innovations in energy production, and at the end of the day, I'm a capitalist, and so I actually think that for us to solve for climate, we need money to drive it, and so I think a profit motive will drive faster climate change improvement than none.
All right. Next one is pretty easy, not related to our topic. Would you rather choose PC or console for gaming? And do you like play games at all?
I would probably. I am not a big gamer. My son is, and so when I play with him, it's PS5 or Oculus. So I would have to choose console.
Yeah, maybe because only of Oculus, I would rather choose console because I'm actually a PC gamer. But what console brings in now, like Oculus Rift stuff and all this VR, that's just cool.
It is.
I tried it not a few times, maybe I tried it 10 or 20 times, but it's total fun.
It is. It's amazing.
It's really fun. All right. The next one is a tough one. Elon Musk. No, why would you choose that?
I'm sorry,
please
I didn't
do.
hear. I only heard Elon Musk.
Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. I don't know why would you choose them. Why would you need that? Yeah, but let's say who's one?
That's really tough. I would probably choose.
Let's say
Elon Musk.
50-50.
Well, no, because I think I'm going to lean to Elon Musk because I think Elon Musk is going to have a massive impact on our planet, a positive impact, and
He
so
already has.
yeah, and so I think for that reason I would lean to him. From a personality perspective, I think they're both kind of hot-headed, the same. So, and I love what Bezos does. I just I'm a bigger fan of Elon Musk.
Did you have a chance to speak to any of them?
No, that hasn't happened.
Got it. All right. 3 words on why crypto is inevitable future.
Transparency, decentralization, and permissionlessness.
Cool. And what would you say if you met Satoshi Nakamoto or whoever the founder of Bitcoin is? What would you say to him?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the easiest one.
Yeah, that's the easy answer. Look, I would love. It would be the most amazing thing in the world to interview somebody that created something like that. I would love to learn about what went into the motivations and the thought processes. So, but definitely, thank you.
Yeah, that's just to ask why, how.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did he thought about this in general? Like 10 years ago, it's not late, but it's just amazing what he did to us and what we do now. It's because of someone who thought about the possibility of decentralization and stuff. All right, Brad. Once again, guys, it was Brad Nickel, 27 years of experience in tech, and just an interesting guy. I was amazed just to listen to it. Just interesting to sit here and catch some information. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, everybody that listened. And I'll be keeping a close eye on what you guys are doing, and we'll be doing some interviews with you. And thanks a lot. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. So thanks once again. Have a good one. And
Bye-bye,
good day to
everybody.
everyone else. Yeah, bye.